Hi, Celeste. Can you introduce yourself and then tell us where we are?
Hi, Deborah. I'm Celeste Monk. I own and operate free range flowers here in Bellingham, Washington, with my partner Jay Roelof out in the distance. And
We'll see him.
yeah, we probably will.
So, will you give us a little walking tour?
Yes.
Great. Okay, super.
Welcome. So we have our fairly weedy and neglected garden here, but we do get vegetables out of it for our crew meals, which is really helpful. Herbs, small batch flowers. This is sort of dry storage behind the aspen and tool shed over here. And then these are our main growing fields.
What is your acreage?
So the full property is 7.75 acres, and then we're growing intensively on maybe around 2.5, and we just ran irrigation along this whole zone back here, so we'll probably be on around 3 acres into next year. So that's where the dahlias are, is all new ground for us.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then where that hedge is back there, is that your perimeter edge?
That is the property line. Yep. And where the trees are, and then the trees on, you'll see them in a bit, I think.
Great.
Jay planted almost all the trees that are on this property. So it's been neat to see those grow up. This, our compost heap, greenhouse, space.
These are amazing. Were these here or did you?
We built these. Yep, we built these with some NRCS funding, helped do that, and we are going to put another bay on in the next year, probably.
Oh, I see. They're attached on the inside.
It's a gutter connect greenhouse. Yeah, please do. So.
Roseland is in here.
Yeah, roses,
Oh my God,
tweedia. We're trialing having some cosmos undercover, so we can see if we can get some September, October cosmos. It's such a good crop for us. Propagation material mostly is what ends in here in the propagation area, and we will build a dedicated prop house, is also in the works in the next couple of years, and then this will all be in ground. Going forward.
So in-ground roses.
In-ground roses.
And then you've got tweedia here.
And we have tweedia. We have some mums that are mostly propagation material at this point. And then benches for growing that are full.
Production stuff.
Yeah, most of the year. So we kind of trying to figure out, we're bench growing some marigolds, and we'll just as a trial and see if we can do more fall production that way to use this space.
So I'll circle back and ask you more about roses when we sit
Great.
down. But they look so healthy.
They are happy undercover. Yeah.
Do you maintain a certain temperature in here in winter, or is it right now?
We try to keep it from getting too cold. I mean, we try to keep it probably above 20 at this point. Putting heat in here, water heat, is something we're trying to figure out.
Oh, I see.
Too.
You'd have to add that. Okay.
Yeah. So there's still plenty of infrastructure work to be done.
The infrastructure decade.
Yes, exactly. But it seems like we at least know what the remaining projects are at this point, which is nice. Celosia, we got planted pretty late, so it's a little and zinnias in the back.
And just out of curiosity, did you plant them under cover because they need so much heat and we don't have the kind of heat environment that other parts of the country have?
We actually grew them in the field pretty successfully. They actually looked a lot better last year in the field, and they grow really well. The problem I find with celosia is more the rain, and once they get wet, the flowers just mush, rot. They rot really easily. Yeah, and I think you get better production with a little bit of heat. They really definitely like to soak it up. They are a work in progress. Most of our crops this year have been better than ever. So it's good it's really nice, like really healthy plants where even the side buds are opening after being cut and things like that. I think that's our soil mix is a lot better. And so just starting from the foundation, everything's been a lot happier. Yeah, which we'll see. I think, rudbeckia, the zinnias just keep going and going. this is going to be cover crop here shortly.
Are you still harvesting off of the?
No, but we had really good regrowth actually because we pinched them super low for the first cut.
These are the snaps.
Yeah, snapdragons. So we actually, on the Potomacs, we still are getting some good stems, but we have a new batch coming on that's much nicer. So we're mostly cutting off of that. But blackberry, great foliage.
Some perennials.
Yeah, and trying to do more and more. Yep, echinacea, eryngium. This is Douglas aster. It's a native. It's maybe a little intense. But we're about to have these little lavender September flowers.
That's not something that you commonly see.
No, I never see it. So, but I love it, and we have a little bit in the landscape, so we collected some seed, and here we are.
Wow. And
had great germination.
And you used it in floral design, so you know it kind of does sort of that, fills that role of texture and something light.
Yeah, and kind of filling in those gaps that people really see, like phlox does so well, or sweet peas do so well, where you're just, what do I put here? Oh, this. Yeah, so I think it's a great one for that.
Douglas aster.
Straw flower, yeah, basic annuals, I think. They mostly end up in grocery bouquets for us, the straw flower, the zinnias. Amaranth, always a winner, and the green amaranth has been crazy popular this year. And frosted explosion grass, which is everywhere and you never get rid of.
So this is definitely the stage you would harvest it at.
I mean, I harvest, yeah, that's great.
Or is it more like when it's more upright?
It sort of depends. I mean, really, it's like, is the stem long enough?
Right.
We do maybe a 10 stem bunch on smaller. When we have the large first cut, you know, I'm usually cutting maybe a little bit of a longer inflorescence. We can pull some grass.
The first cut's already.
We've been cutting. Yep.
This is your second.
And we could pinch, but we didn't. So yeah, they were this tall.
And what did you say about the frosted explosion grass? It just lives everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, you can just harvest it.
Harvest it, huh? I guess
you know what I've been doing? Actually, I mean, we plant it intentionally, and everybody loves it. But I've just been kind of, and we have a patch that's coming on too. But just pulling them.
Just pull it.
Yeah.
Don't even use a tool. Use your hand.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and I'm trying, how do I do less of this motion in my life, right, as we go on?
Yeah.
So mostly perennials on the other side, peonies, echinops, wormwood, thermopsis, which has been really fun, kind of legume with really April flowers,
Which
yellow.
flower is that?
It's just foliage right now. So you see the silvery gray, that's the wormwood.
Okay.
And then behind that, there's some little green kind of feathery foliage.
And that's called
thermopsis or false lupin.
Okay.
But it's been a really nice early yellow spike. So anything we can get that early is great. Starting on a still bay, learning this crop. Lupins, which are trying again, apparently.
Hey, there is denial about the time of year. It is September 12th. Oh, these are beautiful.
Yeah, so our nicest rudbeckia I think we've ever grown, and their timing is right for coming into fall.
Yes. Is this a mix? Is that why the
It is a mix. Yeah, I would love if they would make it less mixed.
Yeah.
But so we harvest according to color usually. We'll do darker bunches and lighter bunches.
Yes. So you might not have identical, you know, wine-colored ones.
Right.
They're a little different, but they're going to go in the same
The
bunch.
dark bunch, yeah, versus like a yellower or a browner version.
They are beautiful.
Yeah, and then the cherry brandy is really, really nice too in the burgundy.
So you're able to keep that kind of isolated. Cherry brandy, it doesn't get intermixed with these yellow ones.
We don't bunch them together, no.
Yeah.
Nope.
I bet in terms of planting, you can get cherry brandy.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
So I would, and I think there's actually the like Echinacea varieties that are more, or rudbeckia that are probably tissue culture or something like that, or they've done some of that selecting. I haven't gotten, it hasn't been worth it for us to go that far yet, but.
Are you starting these from seed?
Yep.
Okay.
Almost everything is started from seed.
Great.
Well, let's see. I bought the still bay plants and the astrantia
But those then since they're perennials, you'll start dividing them to propagate. And
I don't know.
All right.
I don't
To be
know. We'll
continued.
see. Yeah, we'll see. We do have a lifter, so we can dig and divide and move.
Because you always want more of everything, right?
Yeah, it seems like we can always use more of most things. This is a pretty harvested. This is goldenrod from seed down the street, actually. It's a native plant here. So
Lovely.
the patch that there's some powdery mildew we're getting, and I think we can cut it a bit lower to get good regrowth. But yeah, wonderful for grocery, great for designers actually are buying a lot of it this year.
Are you cutting it like at this stage right here?
A little later, usually with a little bit of flower. So these are just the small, like this.
Okay, a little bit blemish
yeah.
on the top.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's probably where we're getting it. Yarrow we grow a ton of. Joe Pyeweed scabiosa is great. Love it. And this we cut so early. It's been fun to work with some of our flowers and see what designers do, because they just get huge, you know, as they develop for folks who buy them.
You mean taller stems?
The flowers just get big. Yeah.
After the first cut, you're starting to get
so
bigger flowers.
I cut them here, right?
Okay.
This is what I end up selling, anywhere from here to sort of all the outer petals. And then they're using them maybe for an event a week out. And in that time, the flowers are just opening and getting like this big. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And that's, I guess, what I feel like our plants have been just better than ever. And the flowers really follow from that too.
Love it.
Asclepias, milkweed.
Yep. Pretty.
Yes, it is. It's its first year, so it's pretty short. It's a pretty short flower, but the oranges have been real popular this year too. So,
are you selling them in single grower bunches or more for bouquet work?
No, all the designers eat them up, so they don't go into, and they're a little short for our grocery bouquets. Yeah. Here's another frosted explosion patch, but it's also around some things that will be for foliage. We have salmonberry and twinberry.
So the grass will eventually just die back, and the woodies will stay here.
Yes.
So you're not so worried about it.
I'm not terribly worried about it. It is going to be, there is going to be more frosted explosion here next year. Yeah. So I think keeping things down and weed whacked and like we need to, it's sort of, we're coming into that in the next couple months, the cleanup. Yeah. So you get it at its rangiest, really.
I think it's gorgeous. Look at how perfect these rows are.
Yeah.
Just your zinnia land over
outrageous here. This year.
Showing the range of forms of every variety.
Yeah, we have the Queen series and the cupcakes and a couple of the floret varieties, and then the Benneries, and the Oklahoma down at the end as well. So,
oh my gosh, there's zero powdery mildew on these.
They're so happy this year.
Why do you attribute that to? Do you use compost tea or?
No, we don't do much. We put down, we do cover crop, and then we put down manure, and then we water them. I think we've been getting more rain this summer. We've been getting kind of an inch or two pretty regularly.
So they're not getting super dry.
And it's that the humid air with the dry seems to really encourage the powdery mildew. I know we have like a second succession of zinnias down there that I don't even know if we needed, but
God, they're gorgeous. Look how tall they are.
Yeah, really tall. I know, taller than me, huh?
We have horticulture, and my orientation to zinnias were like, the little 6-packs at Home Depot that are stunted and
bred to be like bedding plants, right? So much of the breeding has been around bedding.
And then gardeners see these and they're like, what? How do I get my hands on these seeds? I think that's just something for you to think about.
No, that's really great. I will take that. Yeah, well, zinnias cross too, right? So you have to isolate for seed production.
Unless you're going to just market it.
Or just sell a mix, which is probably what the home gardener
would be fine.
Tends to be more interested in anyway.
Yeah, you could just...
the little Oklahomas.
Market your farm's mix, I guess.
Yep. And I think we'll do some of that with sweet peas.
Oh my gosh, what's going on over here?
So this is our new ground.
So this is the expansion.
Yeah, we ran out of space. And so we decided that July was a really great time for an infrastructure project like you do. And Jay and I trenched down this whole plot, which essentially doubles our field space.
Do you mean from here to down where
to the apple trees at the far end? So some of that is still in sod, but to the pumpkins is all has been cover cropped for a couple years actually.
So you've kind of been laying
prepping,
away.
yeah.
You know that this is coming.
But it was fenced. It was just a big pasture, and we started taking that down. We haven't had to get a manifold in here because we've been getting this nice moisture. So
most of these, are you treating them as, well, I see you have yarrow here, right?
Yeah, and that should overwinter.
Like a cool crop. You'll harvest it next year.
And then the rest we're going to see, Deborah. We're kind of playing, it's like the Hail Mary.
Yeah, either zonal denial or climate
zonal
change
denial.
crop.
Yeah, and I'm always like, maybe we'll throw a low tunnel over it or something like that. We'll see.
That's a good point. That wouldn't be that difficult. You probably have.
I can do it in about an hour.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, definitely putting the T-posts on the end is a good idea. And then I found somebody, they're putting hose clamps on the ends of the hoops and then a bungee so that you can raise and lower it, that I think we'll try out. It seems easy enough, yeah.
After you get through, I don't know, hosting the ASCFG conference with, 100 of your closest friends.
Yes.
That's in 2 weeks. You can do it.
Yeah, we're so ready. Yeah, we'll have some cleanup to do for sure. Yeah. No, I'll probably throw out a tunnel on a couple of things. Our asters aren't under cover currently. We have that one low tunnel, and we'll get 4 more of those in the spring.
Oh, wow.
So they'll be under cover next year. I'm really excited because that's the right way to grow it.
And you had water out here already, or did you just
No.
That's when you said trenching. That's what you did, is you brought the plumbing.
Yeah, so we have a main line we're standing on it, basically, is right here. Hopefully we'll grow some grass on top of it at some point. But yeah, so this will be all shrubs. We have an NRCS contract to plant hedgerows.
Oh, wonderful.
Like hedgerows.
Do
Shrub cutting material.
How do they define it?
Plants that pollinators like.
Yeah.
That take up a certain amount of space. So
you get to decide what plants are in that hedgerow.
I do.
Great.
Yeah. It just has to be justified that there's a staggered bloom period for pollinators. And I think it's not tons of funding, but it does pay for the plants, which is a pretty cool way to fund shrub production on your farm. I don't know if NRCS is listening to this.
Well, just put that out there and decide whether you want to keep it in or not.
I think it's helpful for people to have options. We all need funding, and it's cover crop right now. Jay's going to try and run some quick buckwheat through before frost, so that hopefully we get some organic matter and then it dies.
And then what will you plant here next year?
So this has to be shrubs.
I see.
Yeah, it has to be shrubs under contract.
Hedge per se. It's rows.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like a British hedgerow.
No, I think that was their idea.
Yeah.
And then I came to them with a map of hundreds of feet of rows of shrubs, and they okayed it.
Yeah.
So
it's going to achieve the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you're trying to create a perimeter.
Right. It's, kind of. Like, I do want a sort of windbreak.
Got it.
Or guiding the wind. I think we get really intense winds from the northeast over here. So if we can guide it kind of through.
And protect the other crops with the hedgerow. That makes sense. All right, I see some of the glads we were discussing over here.
Yeah, Jay keeps getting me to plant them. So
why does he like them so much?
It's a good question. That's a good question.
Okay, but we have a few things to interrupt ourselves.
Yeah.
Stock.
We do have stock.
That's the color everyone wants.
That is the color. And we've cut most of the doubles out. We trialed planting them really, really tight. I think it was a little more than I would do in the future. But
why? Because they're not quite as tall as you want?
They're not as sturdy. So this is the Iron series, and they have really sturdy stems and usually don't require trellising, unlike the mid-season Cheerful, which I will not grow again. because I want to trellis as little as possible.
And these are just like flopping over.
Yeah, look at this stem is, I mean,
Yeah, it's hard to use.
somebody might use it, but
But the labor of cutting it is more than the cost of selling it.
I don't want to, yeah.
But this iron series looks beautiful.
Yeah.
You just might make the spacing a little bit looser.
Which we did the rest of the season, and they were a little sturdier, but it's also kind of a spring versus summer, so
Sure.
I think we'll keep playing with spacing on those. And then we have the asters coming on out there, and whole bed of feverfew too.
Yep. Very cool.
And these are the snapdragons I was saying look quite a bit nicer.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
We didn't trellis them. Everybody hated the trellising apparently, so here we are.
Everybody meaning you and your crew.
Meaning the crew.
Just the labor of that.
Yeah, just having, because we cut them so low, we cut them at maybe one node so that we get good regrowth. Strong stems.
Just in pulling them out of the trellis spaces.
And cutting
Under,
through the trellis and pulling them out through the trellis. So,
yeah.
I think we lose some stems, but it's probably worth it for morale.
Yeah.
For this stage. The spring get too tall. I think you have to have support. They're just
But the second planting.
outrageous. Yeah.
Oh, now we're coming up on, we mentioned the glass.
Which also need some support. So these will hill up going forward.
Yeah,
With the dahlias.
You'll build up a hill,
Mm-hmm.
12 inches or so?
I think if you have 2 discs on your tractor,
Okay.
some kind of toolbar, so that should just push the soil up around them and give them better support if we grow them again.
Well, I was just going to say, this really illustrates your design affinity because of the colors you've chosen. Because they're so soft and blend. They're not all pastel.
There's some punchy.
But there's enough in here that they harmonize with other. I mean, these apricots and even that
Aren't
orange.
those nice?
Is sort
Isn't
of
that
a soft
orange great?
Yeah.
I love that color. Yeah, sort of
This color right here.
yeah, like a fruit punch. Yeah, zoom in on this. It wanted to be
This is
photographed.
Just wanting me yeah, we're not going to show all the detritus.
I mean, it's part of it, right? It's part of it. It's okay. So then this is dahlias. Yeah, and it's pretty full tilt right now. We got a couple inches of rain a few weeks ago, and I thought, oh my God, all the flowers are ruined. We're done for the season. And then the dahlias just get so amped up. In September, they're really, really productive.
This is like their happiest moment. Isn't it?
It totally is, and this is how I remember them at the end of the season. And so then when we're in July and they're sparse and not producing very much,
And you're cursing them.
yeah, I'm like, what happened? But really, we couldn't handle a heavy dahlia harvest in July because everything else is on.
So in a way, this is your reward.
Yeah. And everyone really enjoys harvesting the dahlias, and we have this long-term relationship with them, I feel like, at this point. So.
Tell me about that. Are you digging them up?
We lift them
you do?
with an implement.
Okay. So your relationship is very intense.
It's positive. Well, we used to fork them out of the ground, but
Here's Jay with his harvest.
Jay does the banding and transporting, and then we've been switching snips to sort of try and keep virus out.
Oh, so that's why he has a couple different snips.
Yep.
And
Yep,
does he
trade them
wash
out.
them
We
during
do
the day?
we have a bucket with some Dawn soap and water out here to sterilize.
Just to sterilize.
It's I think WSU did a study that someone was presenting on at the Pacific Northwest Flower Growers Conference a couple years ago, and they said either bleach or Dawn soap kills the virus. And bleach we used last year, but it's
Yeah.
you don't want it on your clothes. Yeah, so
That's a good point. Wow.
wow.
So beautiful.
Yeah, look at the Sweet Natalie are just ridiculous right now.
Is
They're
this
kind of they're a late bloomer, but they're so pretty.
I remember when I was asking people years ago, what is the next big thing after Cafe au lait?
Oh.
And Sweet Natalie was often mentioned.
She's so much better. I mean, we grow the cafes too because they're incomparable and it's nice to have some. They're over there. They're pretty tight still. These haven't gotten cut yet.
Who want them though.
Oh, I mean, they'll always sell, I think. They're iconic.
Yeah.
The sweet Natalie is just an easier plant to grow. The flowers hold up better. They don't seem to attract bugs the same way. The Cafe au lait, I almost feel like should really be undercover only.
Maybe you'll have room for
Careful.
that next year.
I know. I'm so excited.
How pretty these are. So tell me about these. How many stems per bunch?
We do 5 stem bunches.
And are these for the
7 stem on the poms.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the 7 stem on the
Pom-poms. These are technically a small ball, but we
Yeah.
bunch them as a pom.
And then which variety is that?
This is Silver Years.
Pretty.
Yeah.
How about this one?
Salmon Runner.
That's nice.
Incredible. Yeah. Water Lily. Really, really nice. Wine-Eyed Jill, who has some variation, kind of reminds me of the sort of South Korean fantasy floral installation style.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. So are these headed to the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, or are they for your local?
Both.
Okay.
So we send some to our co-op in Bellingham, but they're usually a mixed bunch. So these will probably go towards grocery through the growers market. So
Okay.
they'll probably end up at like Town and Country,
I see. I see.
most likely. And then these will be for florists. They're,
Who have weddings
Yep.
coming right up. Yep.
yeah, anything white.
Yeah.
We should be growing probably another bed of white.
These are some white.
This is Small World.
That's sweet.
Yeah,
It's a good size.
yeah.
Lovely.
Really nice size. The
Wow.
pom-pom's shape is so cute.
The stems are so long, and
Yes, they are, Deborah.
they're
Thank you for noticing.
seriously important for some of your customers.
And I think really distinguishes what we're growing from what other dahlia growers are growing. Some of the wholesalers are selling, 6-inch stems or on the side of the street, and we cut deep, and it gives us really sturdy plants too.
Because they have to shoot out.
Yeah, like we're
other-
cutting them 1 to 2 nodes every
Wow.
time.
Wow.
We're taking them down really far, and they're rewarding us with just,
Gorgeous.
yeah, like we could cut them longer, but it's not very convenient
But
for transport.
It's usable.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. They're
don't
not going to flop out of these buckets
I
either.
know, right,
Yeah.
and they don't fit on a shelf. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a certain,
Well,
I-
we see this is your setup.
yeah,
Okay, so
Yep.
so you've got the buckets, you've got the soapy water, and the rubber
more
bands.
rubber bands
And
always.
you guys are the black rubber bands.
We are the black rubber bands, keeping it, yeah, simple, classy.
Well, only one farm gets every color, so
Yeah, I think we got first pick.
I love it.
So,
That's funny.
because everybody was using the twist ties,
Yes.
and then Brad told us had these short gold twist ties, which we still use for some things, but they were cutting into tulip foliage, and so he said maybe we could reverse it, and instead we just did a double rubber band, and then people only had to carry one thing into the field, so people really prefer it, and it's just been better for the product quality too. So recommend.
And I will say, at least at the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, they take the rubber bands back from me. I bring them an envelope of rubber bands and twisty ties, and they recycle them.
We get them back too, I think at the membership meetings. Usually they have everybody's materials ready.
We're all concerned about these
Yeah,
things.
it's nice. And I really need to do a little more research too, because I think you can probably find hopefully rubber bands that are made from rubber versus
Yeah, who knows? I
kind
mean,
of
that's
plastics is a
huge
good
niche for someone
question. Yeah, I would
To,
love
like
that.
compostable, you mean? Or
Yep, exactly. More natural.
oh my gosh!
Yeah.
And this is your broom corn.
Yeah.
Jeez, I was when you said down by the apple trees, I couldn't see the apple.
Yeah, the apple trees are down there.
I'm like, well,
So we
why?
haven't unfenced everything yet.
That
But
field,
that,
you mean?
right, so that will be in production at some point. It's nice, kind of flat, sunny ground right there. So that'll probably be good annual space.
But the broom corn is sort of coming into its own right now.
Ridiculous. Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God, it's like 10 feet
really tall. Well, and you can see the height change. This edge gets really shady,
Oh, okay.
especially this time of year as the sun is coming further south in the sky. And so it's just much taller towards
Just
the end.
Stretching for light.
Yeah, and I think really happy. I think things really like some partial shade.
Yeah.
The
fun.
dahlias have been really happy.
These look taller here too. I mean, it might be the variety, but do you think it's partly the?
I think they are taller on the end. I think they have fewer, they're a little less flowery. You get a little the inflorescence isn't as strong as when you have full sun, but the plants are healthier, if that makes sense. So it's a little more vegetative down there, which I'm fine with not having crazy, you know, it's okay if they're a little bit slower. We have plenty to deal with. And this is just corn.
Corn for the crew.
Corn for the crew, corn for the neighbors, corn for our friends.
Can we just look at this, since it is almost coming on fall, your award-winning jumbo pumpkin.
It's not as...
there's a couple of them.
Yeah, we have a bunch of pumpkins. You can't see because of the amaranth, but there's a lot of jack-o'-lanterns. This is Jay's pet. Yeah.
Okay.
He had a bigger one last year. We got started pretty late. It's obviously not the... Well, maybe it is the focus of the farm.
But he wants it up here so he can keep an eye on it.
He had a nest for it out of grass, but then it started getting bigger. So this is just so it can get moved and it's protected
Doesn't get
from the moisture. Yep, exactly, Jabra.
Well,
yeah.
that will be fun. I want to know how much that weighs.
Well, we have a friend with a cattle scale, so we'll let you know. We'll let you know.
Should we sit down and
Yeah,
do a little
let's
bit
do
more
it.
conversation?
Let's do it.
Your lisianthus. I mean, how could I know that?
Yeah, sure. They're outdoors.
Ignore them.
No, it's okay. I harvested them pretty hard yesterday. This will be another one we definitely plant undercover.
To get what, longer stems?
They just get rain damage so easily.
the
They're
lighter
so
ones.
sensitive. I think our stems are great. I think
Yeah.
our stem length is fabulous right now.
Just the protecting the buds.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they want to be in Texas, it seems like, right? So we're trying to provide as close to that environment as we can out here in Washington.
So when you talk about adding, you're going to add one more bay of the high tunnel and then 4 more of the
Those
the lower
farmer's
tunnels?
friend, basically like a 3-season tunnel.
Okay, great.
So there'll be 4 more of those right next to it.
Got it.
And
And then maybe some
this is all an
hoops.
NRCS project too, right?
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Inflation Reduction Act.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll have 4 more of these tunnels, and then we'll have 1 more bay on this, and then there'll be a prop house over the pool.
Oh my goodness, very exciting.
And then we can heat the pool to heat the prop
Oh.
house.
Wow.
So
Okay. I
just
think this sounds really creative. You have a pool, and you're going to put a prop house over it so that
Yeah.
you can actually care for humans and plants alike.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, a nice place to be in the winter, which is trying to find space that you don't need to escape from at like the 48th parallel,
Yes,
you know, where
yes.
we're so dark and cold in the winter and just wet. Yeah, having space we can work in and be happy.
I'm
in.
excited to hear about that.
Oh, well, we'll let you know when it's done. It's going to be a big project.
Thank you for
But
this
it'll be,
tour.
yeah,
It'll be like one of these.
it'll be like this, but a little bit smaller. So a double bay gutter connect.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go sit down.
Okay.